Well, it looks like we found even more of that voter fraud that Republicans love to tell us is out there everywhere. And of course, as per usual, this voter fraud took place within the Republican Party itself. But it wasn't just your average, everyday, run-of-the-mill Republican out there committing fraud. No, this time it was a Republican Party chairman, the Republican Party chairman of the state of Alabama. Man by the name of John Wahl. You see, according to multiple different legal complaints sent to the Alabama Attorney General, man by the name of Steve Marshall, Mr. Wahl voted in the 2022 election with a homemade fake ID. Not just a fake ID, but one he made at home because he didn't want to, I guess, show his driver's license. Now, the state of Alabama, of course, does, like many other, I should say, states have voter ID requirement for voting, which means you have to have a, quote, state-issued photo ID. Okay, state-issued photo ID. Simple enough. It's oppressive, sure, because there are plenty of people who do not have photo IDs, especially in a state like Alabama, that has poverty, the likes of which we only see in third world nations, undeveloped nations, I should say. But Mr. Wahl, the chairman of the Republican Party right now and at the time, showed up to vote with an ID in a photo that he made at home. He just made it. He did a little arts and crafts session where he made his own ID and showed it to the poll worker. And that's just the tip of the iceberg here. Let me read you this. This is from AL.com. Wahl's family had been known in Limestone County, where he lives in Alabama, for their special approach to the state's voter ID laws. According to court records, Wahl's immediate relatives object to what they call biometric identification, including photo ID, which they believe to be the mark of the beast foretold in Revelation. Alabama's voter ID law does not give exemptions for religious objections. In 2016, Wahl's brother Joshua testified in a deposition for the NAACP, which had challenged the law in federal court, and that lawsuit ultimately failed. Despite that defeat, John Wahl, who had become chairman of the Alabama Republican Party, celebrated the state's court victory on Twitter in 2021 as a win for, quote, fair elections. So his family's against photo ID. You can't have our biometric data. It's the mark of the beast. They're wrong about that, but at least, they did team up with the NAACP that was challenging it for very valid reasons. So Wahl himself was not necessarily, based on what we know, part of his family's extremist beliefs here. But he still used his homemade ID to vote. According to poll workers, when Wahl showed up to vote in 2022, instead of using a driver's license to vote, he presented poll workers with what appeared to be a state employee badge. Only, Wahl wasn't a state employee, and the badge wasn't a state employee ID like those used by state employees. Wahl had made it himself with permission, he said, from then State Auditor Jim Ziegler. And when the reporter asked then Alabama Secretary of State John Merrill whether the badge was an acceptable form of ID, Merrill said, no, it does not meet the standard of any voter ID requirements listed under 17-9-30. Wahl agreed the legality of his ID was an issue. He said, that's a legitimate question. When one of the poll workers questioned Wahl's ID, Wahl asked the Limestone County probate judge to have that poll worker removed. The poll worker, Clyde Martin, was later told his services were no longer needed. So the guy makes his own ID. Then the poll worker's like, hey, dude, this is not real. I can't take this. And he says, hey, judge, get this person out of here. And judge says, you got it, buddy. And if you think that's the end of this story, well, you're wrong. Because as I mentioned, the reporter who, uncovered this at the time 2 years ago, she had gone to then Secretary of State John Merrill. Merrill's like, no, this isn't right. So Merrill sends a complaint, a legal complaint, to the Republican Attorney General Steve Marshall. Steve Marshall does nothing with that criminal complaint. But then we get a new Secretary of State. This is brought up to him, and he says, oh, hell no. He sends another criminal referral to Steve Marshall, Alabama State Attorney General, and he once again does nothing with it. And this is the same Republican Attorney General of the state of Alabama who also, by the way, joined in lawsuits to overturn the results of the 2020 election, citing massive voter fraud. He testified on Capitol Hill saying there was voter fraud everywhere. Then he's presented with a real case of voter fraud among his own Republican Party, and he does nothing about it. If that's not corruption from top to bottom throughout this entire story, then I don't know what is. Well, folks, we have crossed that 1 million subscriber milestone, but rest assured, we are just getting started here at Ring of Fire. So if you're not already, please do subscribe to the channel and make sure to like, share, and comment on the videos.